Hello everyone, it's Fiona Whitten from Oakville Crafts here. I hope you're having a good day. It's a Wednesday afternoon, so not my usual time for going live, but had to run a few errands with my husband this morning, so I couldn't do it then. So I'm here now, and it's not card and a cuppa, so I'm going to share today some ideas for the new products that are now out from the Butterfly Bouquet suite. So these are items that will be available in the main catalogue come May when the new catalogue comes out. But Stampin' Up have actually released them early so that we can get our hands on them early, which is really, really good, and start to play with them now. So I thought I would share with you. Card and a Cuppa this month actually features the paper and stuff like that, but I can't send stamped images, so I thought I would just come on and share some ideas with you today. So you may or may not know the actual stamp itself is one large stamp. So it comes in the case. There's lots of little bits that you can poke out and use for other things, like making backgrounds. So this is the stamp. I have actually, not very well, put on my film. So this is the bit that sticks to your block or to your Stamparatus. Now, I mentioned the other day you should use either a really large block. This is, I'm going to say, block F. So this is big enough to put the stamp on. But when you're stamping, you do need to make sure that you are stamping on a really firm surface. My craft tables that I have for class and everything, which is where I'm sitting at the moment, are not, well, they're sturdy, but they have a bit of give in them. As you can probably tell that I'm kind of, everything sort of shudders a bit. So I'm actually going to use my Stamparatus. For those of you who don't know what a Stamparatus is, it's basically a stamping tool. And what sets our stamping tool aside, well not aside, but different from others, is that you actually get two plates with yours. They're hinged, as you can see, but you can also remove them. She says you need to make sure that they're straight vertical, so you can move them, and there's all sorts of techniques that you can use with these. So it comes with two clear plates. It comes with a mat so that you can use it without the mat if you've got red rubber like this stamp that we're using today, or if you're using the photopolymer, the clear stamps, then you would want to put the foam mat on. So that's it comes with, and it also comes with two, and I say two, very strong magnets which are underneath. Now, you don't want to take these out and leave them sort of vaguely close to each other because they will just jump together. They are that strong. So you need to be careful with them, and in fact you only really need to use one. So I'm just going to take mine out. It's actually sitting now on my stand. So I'm going to close that up. And the other nice thing about this is that if you put a stamp pad underneath your... can you actually see that? I need to see if I can move it across a bit. Maybe you can't. So if you actually put a stamp pad underneath your clear plate, one, it's a really good rest, so that you can then apply your ink, and it also means that you're not having to try and hold it up and ink up. So without further ado, now I'm going to share two projects today. It's along the lines of a project that I made the other week for the team as some thank you gifts. Oh, and the other thing that you can get, and it's in the main catalogue, is some paper that you can put onto your base. And now this is really handy because I quite like to draw, or at least mark where the corners are of my paper, so that I know when I want to replicate the same card a number of times that I know exactly where I need to put my piece of card. So there's centimetres on one side and inches on the other. For today's purpose, it doesn't really matter what you're using. So what I want to do is I want to put my card down. Now, don't put it directly along the edges, because sometimes you may not get a clear image stamping on that part. So place it in the middle. Line up with some of the squares if you can. Always make sure that your paper is also in that corner, because if you're marking it and then you have your paper here, you will not be stamping in exactly the same place. So I'm just going to mark up here that this is where this piece of card is. I don't need to mark precisely where it is. I just vaguely, I know that it's in line with the lines. Then what you want to do is you want to get your stamp and figure out what image do you want to stamp. Do you want it going off to the right? Do you want it going off to the left? Do you want it dead in the middle? Do you want this large butterfly here in the middle, or what? So I'm just going to have it so that it's slightly up like that. And you just let the clear plate do its job, which is basically put it down on top of your stamp like that, and it picks your stamp up. Now you also need to work out where you want to put your magnet. So I'm probably going to have to put my magnet just up here. It's just although you've drawn the lines, it's just to make sure that things are not going to move. So if you just place it there, let's just double check. Interferes with that. So let's see, how far up can I go? That will be fine. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to ink up. So I've got some terracotta tile cardstock here. My base card is black, so this is going to be quite a striking card. And then I'm also going to use a piece of Whisper White. So first of all, I want to stamp an image directly onto this piece of terracotta tile. And I'm going to use terracotta tile ink, so that I'm doing a tone on tone effect. So make sure that your stamp is well and truly inked up even. And then fold it over and give it a good press down. Make sure that ink transfers from the stamp to the card. Now, if you've missed a bit, so I've got a piece here that I'm not that happy with. So I know it's that butterfly. I'm just going to re-ink that butterfly. And because my card hasn't moved, and obviously my stamp hasn't moved, by folding it back down again, it's gone back in exactly the same place. I'll give this bit now a really good push. There we go. So that's my image, my first image. So that is going to go and layer onto that cardstock. Now, this layer I want to stamp with exactly the same. And if I just sort of have a look here, now I want it central in this case. So I'm just, let's see, want to kind of here, I think. 2 down, not quite, about there, I reckon. Now this one, I'm not going to be able to use my sorry, I'm just concentrating, my magnet, because the whole of the stamp is going to go over that piece. So I'm just marking all 4 corners so I know exactly where to place it. See what I mean by it being strong? Just put that there out the way. And again, I'm going to use my terracotta tile ink. Give that a good inking up all over. Again, give it a good push down, like so. Oops, and sometimes it does stick. So best bet is just to like put your finger on one corner of the cardstock and then just find a gap that you can peel up the rest. So that's the other image. So I'm going to just put that to one side, and I need to close that ink so I don't end up putting my hand in it. So we have a piece of terracotta tile, and then we have a piece of Whisper White that we've also stamped on, and then the idea is to simply match up the image like so. So we're going to glue this piece of terracotta down. I'm just going to glue that to the card front, like so. Now you can either glue this piece directly down, or you can add some dimensions to it by putting some dimensionals underneath, which, as they usually do, they've gone on a little walkabout on my craft table. Oh, there they are. So I'm just going to put a few on this. So you don't need to go too mad. I'm just going to put 6 on because it's not exactly a huge piece. So, let's see if I put it that way. It's a question of lining it all up. I think that's pretty much it. So, there's that. Now you can add a sentiment, you can add ribbon, you can do what you want. I've actually cut out a black butterfly, and I thought I would actually glue that over the top there. You could, if you wanted to, colour these images. So this goes about there, I think. Yep. I think I need to leave that dry. So that's my first card. So I've stamped both pieces in the terracotta, and then I've put one of the black, I put a die cut using the swallowtail. So that's that one. Now I also want to have something on the inside. Make sure that that's a piece that's cut appropriately, and it is. Let's see now. This is where I need to be careful, because I don't really want the whole of these images. So I'm just trying to think what's the best way to do it. If I put it that side, I can't really do it that way. And you know what? I'm just going to leave it for the time being. I'm going to work out what to do in a minute. So I've used the terracotta tile. So we also need to clean it. This is where the Stampin' chamois comes in handy, because it's you can just fold it over, and pardon the noise this makes. Just make sure all of that ink is off. Push down on that. So even doing it with this, the table goes a bit, it's not coming off, so that's all right then. Right, good. So that's that one done. So the next one, I'm going to use, whoops, the outlines again that I had already drawn on there. So this first one goes here, and then this time, instead of using terracotta tile as my ink colour, I'm actually going to use some Memento black, just so that you can see what the difference is using the two different colours. So again, put an ink pad underneath that plate, take the ink pad that you're colouring the stamp with to the stamp. Make sure it's got a really good covering. Put that out of the way. Fold it over and push down. Glue in the way. And again, if you're not happy with it, because you can simply re-ink and fold the plate back over, it's not going to be a problem. Try and get the bits that I've missed. Okay, so I think I need to push a bit firmer. I think I probably need to get a firmer table. There we go. That's fine apart from that bit. So that's what, 2 times, 3 times now that I've done this. Maybe my ink pad needs to be re-inked. Let's try that. Right, okay. If in doubt, stand up. Because at the moment I've been sitting down. There we go. That's fine. So, God, that's not me pretending that is that strong. Put that to one side, get my smaller piece. I've still got my marks. And you can even see on here where the black has gone and met the terracotta tile from it being previously stamped. The reason I'm using the Memento is that I'm actually going to colour, and that's the reason why this is also a small piece, so that I'm not here all day. Oops, excuse me. Let's see. This is where I find that this bit has moved. No? Good. Okay, so close that up. I would add, because these are the new style cling mounts, then don't leave it on your Stamparatus overnight, or on your clear block overnight, because it will stick to it and you'll have a heck of a job trying to peel it off. A few hours is fine, but I know, so, I mean, I know I'm equally as guilty. I will just go and I would leave my projects that I'm working on and then just go away and come back the next day to finish it off. So we could either leave it like that and add that, so then that is actually comparable to that, or we can add some colour just by simply colouring in one of, well, you can colour them all, it's entirely up to you. I just need to quickly find my Stampin' blends, which I had out. I'm going to stick with the terracotta colours. So I've actually got here, so that's dark Calypso Coral. This is dark Cajun Craze, and then this is light Cajun Craze. We don't have terracotta tile Stampin' blends, so the easiest thing is just to use these three. So I'm just going to fill in you don't really want to get it on the black because these colours are actually quite strong. And I could be here all day doing this, probably boring the pants off you all, which I really don't want to do. So I'm just going to do that wing. And as much as I would like to say here's one I made earlier, I haven't. And then go back with the lighter colour. Blend it in. This one I will go over the black, at least those ends, just to blend that colour in. Should have done this the first time around, just gone over it completely. So one nice thing about the blends is they're very forgiving. So my technique may not be brilliant, but I get there eventually. You do have to be careful that these don't bleed. Being alcohol markers, they will kind of travel. So you just sometimes everyone says less is more, but on these ones you do want them to travel a certain degree. But if you just simply make sure that you don't necessarily go over the lines, because I'm just going to blend these in to give them a different hue, and then the light one again. And then it'll dry completely, it'll dry a lot lighter as well, so, which is quite nice. I think I'll just colour the body. Actually, might use a finer tip. It's a lot easier. Some people like to use the thick end, some people like to, and I kind of, if I'm doing large areas, I will use the thicker end. If I'm doing smaller areas, sometimes actually, I should say the thick end, because it's a brush end, is actually quite good for getting in the little spaces. So that's going to be the card. So it's just highlighted that particular piece. So again, we're going to finish this off by gluing it all together. And then I have a few more cards to show you that I have made in the last couple of days. So let's see. You probably want to see what I'm doing. I usually mark on my grid paper where I know that the camera viewing is, so that I know I'm not kind of just simply outshot. I forgot to do that today, which is not very good of me. Put some dimensionals on that piece. I'll put a bit in the middle this time. And there we go. So we're going to see if we can match this up like so. So that's one. I don't think I'm going to add a butterfly to that one. I'll add some ribbon, I think. So that's that one with the butterfly on. So basically I've used exactly the same design. Except for that one I've used the tuxedo black ink and I've coloured, and then this one I've used the terracotta, and then I've just added the butterfly. So it's just a way of getting completely different effects, but using the same material. So I will put the cutting instructions for all of these on the Facebook page once I've taken some photos, and then you can see for yourself. So I will take photos of those once they're completely finished. I had a couple more cards to share with you. Now these are ones that similar technique. So I've used the 2019 to 2021 in colours. So this one's Pretty Peacock, and I use Pretty Peacock ink. So I simply stamped the image, punched out a circle from the middle, and then coloured it. And then this is popped up on dimensionals. So that's just it's a technique called spotlighting, which effectively is really what we've done here. This is just spotlighted that particular bit, but I didn't actually cut anything out. So that's that one. This one is Purple Posy. I was one of the lucky ones that managed to get some Purple Posy ink, although it's gone a bit grey, which is one of the reasons why they stopped selling it. So you won't be able to find any of this ink, but the cards and all the paper and stuff is obviously going to be finishing in April, beginning of May. So again, I stamped the image, and then this time I used the dies. So this is the lacy die of the swallowtail, and then the piece underneath is part of that large die that cuts out all the shapes in one go. So the one that fits the paper. So this particular one. So the Purple Posy bit there is this piece here, but I mean I've chopped it all out. It's all here somewhere. There you go. Look, there's other bits here. See. So that's another way to use it. This one is Seaside Spray cardstock, and all the background paper here is from the Subtles. So I stamped in Seaside Spray, and then I used that large die to die cut the butterflies from the paper. So that one's just simply glued on. So that's that one. This one, again, this is it is terracotta tile. And then I die cut the swallowtail from the rainbow glimmer paper. So that's what that one is. This one looks complicated, but to be honest, it's not. All I did was I cut down the piece of designer series paper to the same size as the piece that I was using here. So this is 9.5 by 13.9. So I cut this piece down to 9.5 by 13.9. Stamped in Rococo Rose, the images, and then simply, again, die cut them out, and then just used foam pads to apply them to the card front. So they kind of look like the floating butterflies. And because I've used the die on what was already a cut piece of cardstock, you've got the edges, so you can really rearrange these if you wanted to. I put them back in the vague form that they were, but obviously you would want to make sure that this corner piece here goes in a corner because that's the way it's cut. Okay, so that's some more ideas for you. Hope you've enjoyed seeing those. This will get saved to Facebook, and as I said, I will put all the cutting instructions, well, certainly for these two cards, on there. And I will see you next Wednesday when it's Card in the Copper. It's the last Card in the Copper for the month. So I'll see you then, hopefully with your kits. Okay, take care. Bye.